In the opening act of a classic horror story, we are introduced to Elisa, a young woman embarking on a journey to Calabria. Her purpose is deeply personal. As she plans to visit her parents while contemplating an abortion, a decision weighed heavily by her mother's advice. To reach her destination, Elisa opts for a carpooling arrangement, joining a group of strangers in an RV. This eclectic group includes Fabrizio, the affable driver and aspiring filmmaker documenting his travels, Riccardo, a reserved doctor with personal struggles, and a lively couple, Mark and Sophia, who are seasoned travelers. As they traverse the Italian countryside, the group's dynamics begin to unfold. Fabrizio's enthusiasm for filmmaking is evident as he records their journey, aiming to create a compelling vlog. Mark, an American, and Sophia, an Italian, share a palpable affection, though Mark's brash demeanor occasionally surfaces. Riccardo remains distant, hinting at underlying marital issues. Elisa's morning sickness prompts a stop, during which Sophia suspects her pregnancy, adding a layer of unspoken tension. As night falls, the atmosphere grows tense. Mark insists on taking over the driving, despite Fabrizio's reservations and Riccardo's advice against it. Mark's consumption of beer while driving adds to the group's unease. Engaging in conversation, Fabrizio shares his aspirations of becoming a filmmaker, revealing that driving the RV is merely a part-time job. Their discussion is abruptly interrupted when Mark swerves to avoid a dead goat lying in the road, losing control of the vehicle and crashing into a tree. The following morning, Elisa regains consciousness to a disorienting scene. Mark's leg is severely injured, causing him immense pain, and leading him to repeatedly apologize to Sophia for the accident. The group is bewildered to find that the road they were traveling on has vanished, replaced by a dense forest with no clear path. Nearby, they notice a rustic wooden cabin, seemingly abandoned. The inexplicable relocation of their RV deep within the forest, far from any recognizable road, leaves them perplexed and alarmed. Seeking assistance, Fabrizio and Riccardo venture into the forest, hoping to find a route back to civilization. Their exploration leads them to a disturbing discovery. 3 deformed scarecrows mounted on stakes, each adorned with pig heads, arranged in a ritualistic manner. This macabre scene heightens their fear, prompting a hasty retreat. Meanwhile, Elisa, driven by curiosity, enters the seemingly deserted cabin. Inside, she encounters a mural depicting 3 deities, Osso, Mastroso, and Carcanoso, figures from local legend associated with protection and justice, but also linked to ominous rituals involving human sacrifice. Confronted with these unsettling revelations, the group decides to spend the night in the RV, seeking safety and proximity. Tensions simmer as they grapple with their predicament, each member coping with fear and uncertainty. The isolation of their location, combined with the eerie surroundings and mysterious artifacts, casts a shadow over the group, setting the stage for the harrowing events that are about to unfold. As night cloaks the forest, the group seeks uneasy refuge in the RV. The trauma of the crash, combined with the strange surroundings and Fabrizio's nervous energy, creates a tense atmosphere. Suddenly, Fabrizio begins laughing hysterically, his behavior unnerving everyone. When questioned, he dismisses it as nerves, joking that their bizarre circumstances feel like something out of a horror movie. The uneasy silence returns, but it's short-lived. Later that night, Fabrizio steps outside to relieve himself, but is startled when he sees 3 masked figures lurking in the woods, producing strange animalistic sounds. Simultaneously, a faint, distressed voice echoes from the abandoned house. Elisa and Sophia, alarmed by the sound of a crying girl, rush toward the cabin despite Riccardo's protest that it might be a trap. Eventually, the rest follow. Inside, they sneak into the attic and find a terrified young girl named Chiara locked in a nest-like cage. Her tongue has been cut out, and she trembles at their presence. Before they can help her, blaring sirens erupt and red lights flash around the cabin. Everyone panics. The masked cultists invade the RV and drag the injured Mark out. From the attic window, the group watches in horror as Mark is strapped to a table by the 3 masked figures, representing the mythical brothers Osso, without eyes, Maestroso, without tongue, and Carcanoso, without ears. One of the cultists brutally smashes Mark's legs with a hammer, then delivers a final, fatal blow to his head. Traumatized, The group hides in the attic for the rest of the night. Chiara, who seems to have witnessed similar horrors before, clings silently to Elisa. In the morning, Ricardo urges the group to flee. Elisa insists on bringing Chiara, despite Ricardo's objections that she will slow them down. They agree to head south, guided by Fabrizio, who claims to know the forest paths from his scouting experience. After a long, exhausting run, they arrive at a chilling sight, a graveyard of abandoned cars now overrun by nature. Sophia realizes the truth. They are not the first victims. Many others have been lured here and murdered. Tension flares as Ricardo and Sophia argue about Mark's death. She accuses Ricardo of doing nothing to stop it, while he blames Mark's recklessness. While resting, Elisa discovers Chiara's diary, which includes a photo of her family. When Elisa asks how to escape, Chiara eerily writes, "This isn't a forest." The group, shaken and confused, soon finds themselves back at the same cabin, no matter which way they run. This revelation changes everything. Something far more sinister than cultists or coincidences at play. After the shocking realization that they returned to the same cabin, despite heading in one direction, the group's panic deepens. Ricardo, frustrated and enraged, lashes out at Fabrizio, accusing him of getting them lost and misleading them. Fabrizio, breaking down in tears, insists he was sure they were moving south. He pleads that he's just as scared and wants to survive, too. Suddenly, Ricardo begins to question his own reality. He stumbles and clutches his head, overwhelmed by the sensation that none of this is real, like a coma-induced dream. When they search for their RV, it has mysteriously vanished, as if it never existed. Only a beer bottle remains, hinting at tampering. With no other option, they return to the cabin, forced to wait out another night. That evening, Fabrizio attempts to lighten the mood with jokes. Surprisingly, it brings brief laughter. Everyone, weary from the horror, shares stories from their lives. The moment of calm feels human, almost too human, considering what they've witnessed, but the peace is short-lived. In the dead of night, the red lights flash again, and the eerie sirens scream across the forest. Elisa wakes with a jolt, only to find herself alone in the cabin. Ricardo, Sophia, and Chiara have disappeared. When she stumbles outside, she's met with a terrifying sight. A large group of masked cultists watching her. Her friends are bound and forced into a gruesome ritual. Representing the three brothers from the legend, the cultists enact a symbolic sacrifice. Chiara, already tongueless, is presented first. Sophia's eyes are gouged out, and Ricardo's ears are cut off. Their body parts are placed at the feet of a grotesque wooden effigy of the three deities. The crowd chants in a frenzy. Elisa, hidden nearby, is forced to watch in silent horror. Suddenly, Fabrizio appears beside her and pulls her back into the cabin for safety. She's sobbing, shaken by the massacre. He consoles her, wrapping her in a hug. But something's off. Elisa begins to realize Fabrizio has been acting strangely all along. Too calm, too prepared. Then it hits her. He never drank any of the beer during their journey. Her suspicions grow. As he tries to soothe her again, she hears something. An earpiece hidden in Fabrizio's ear. A woman's voice is instructing him to bring the girl out. Elisa rips the device out and confirms her worst fear. Fabrizio has been manipulating them from the start. He tries to explain, saying he was just trying to survive, that he had no choice. But Elisa now knows the truth. Their suffering was all part of a scripted spectacle, and Fabrizio was the director behind it. With the horrifying truth finally exposed, Elisa confronts Fabrizio in the cabin. She's stunned and furious. Everything they experienced was part of an elaborate stage production. Fabrizio tries to justify his actions, claiming he's just a pawn in something much bigger. He confesses that the entire setup, the carpool, the RV, the crash, the fake cult, and the murders, was all part of a grotesque film crafted for a very specific audience. The rich, powerful, and depraved individuals who take pleasure in real-life horror disguised as entertainment. Fabrizio explains that the story of Osso, Mastrasso, and Carcanosa was entirely fictional, an invented myth meant to give thematic depth to the brutality. He scoffs at mainstream horror, calling Hollywood's films boring and predictable, and boasts that what they're creating here is something far more authentic. He even admits that Chiara, the terrified mute girl they rescued, is actually his younger sister and actress in On the Act. Her cut tongue was a lie, just another prop in this twisted performance. Horrified and betrayed, Elisa plays along, hiding her rage. But deep down, something has changed in her. She's no longer the helpless passenger. She's now fueled by survival, vengeance, and the sheer need to end this nightmare on her own terms. As dawn breaks, we see a lavish outdoor setting in the woods. A long wooden dining table is set, surrounded by the masked cultists, now revealed to be ordinary people, sitting, eating, and enjoying breakfast as if nothing had happened. In the center, Elise is bound to a chair, the final girl of the story. She pleads for her life, but the elite audience simply watches her and mocks her breakdown. To Elise's horror, a police car pulls up nearby. For a moment, hope flickers in her eyes, until she realizes the officer is part of the same organization. Her rescue was never coming. The authorities are complicit. Fabrizio approaches Elisa once more, gloating. He tells her how he created this horror masterpiece, how his own mother supports the project, and how the people who fund it think it's art. But as he rants, Elisa notices a flaw. Fabrizio is careless. He's still wearing the earpiece, and he's still underestimating her. Later, when left alone in the trailer, Elisa, driven by survival, manages to free herself from her restraints. While searching the trailer, she discovers a gun, along with a horrifying realization that everything, from the RV journey to the sacrifices, was part of a twisted snuff film, created for a secret audience. Determined to end the performance on her own terms, Elisa goes to find Chiara. Once believed to be a mute and helpless victim, Chiara is now clearly part of production, a performer, and even worse, Fabrizio's sister. Elisa, seething with betrayal, watches Chiara drop the act. No longer innocent, Chiara smugly tries to talk, revealing her role in the deceit. Without hesitation, Elisa shoots and kills her, ending the illusion of victimhood and eliminating the first face of betrayal. With no more false empathy left, Elisa turns to her final target, Fabrizio. She confronts him as he's preparing to close his masterpiece. Shocked and terrified to see her alive, Fabrizio tries to spin the truth again. He admits the story of the three brothers was all fabricated. He blames Hollywood for boring horror, claims this was his genius creation, and says that Elisa ruined the film. But she doesn't flinch. She's done listening. She shoots him point blank on camera, flipping the story's ending into her own. As the camera rolls, Elisa stands over his body, facing the lens. With full control of the narrative, she speaks directly to the unseen audience. You wanted a classic horror story? Here it is, a better one. The screen cuts to black. Elisa, battered but alive, walks out of the woods and finds herself on a crowded beach. But even here, safety is an illusion. Sunbathers pull out their phones, not to help her, but to record her, fascinated by the bloodied woman stumbling out of nowhere. No one asks if she's okay. She is content for content. Elisa doesn't say a word. She just walks, out of their twisted story and into a world that's just as cold and voyeuristic as the one she escaped.